Steph. How's it going?
I'm very excited about 2023. How about you?
I'm excited as well. Thank you for being a part of our Raw show today. And before we get into who Stephanie Brown is, let's talk about that ring. Let's talk about what's going on here.
I'm engaged.
Amazing.
I'm engaged to Mr. Joe Preston, who is the mayor of St. Thomas.
And do you love your ring?
Absolutely love it. I picked it. That's actually a blue sapphire, and it's prettier than I remembered. The diamonds are bigger than I remembered.
So it is stunning.
Thank you. I picked blue sapphire, so I feel like he's always with me because his favorite color is blue.
Love it.
And then he'd already, a few years ago, giving me these blue sapphire earrings. And this designer is from St. Thomas, and he's retiring this year. And so this is a one of a kind.
Love it.
Can't get it
love
anywhere else. It's 18 karat gold, and I love it.
Yay. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So if you were to be asked, who is Stephanie Brown, briefly, can you tell us who Stephanie Brown is?
I am an advocate in mental health, but not in a way that you would think. I am teaching patients how to have language and self-empowerment to take control of their health, because I have a mood disorder on the spectrum with bipolar, ADHD, and PTSD traits. And so when I was tired of not getting help, it birthed something in me. I'm a mother of 3 adult children, which is, it's a ride because, you know, they are under 25, so.
Motherhood, gotta love it.
Yeah. I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm a Jill of all trades, kind of, because with my bipolar, I had to do a lot of things to try to find out how to make my uncomfortable comfortable to the world. And so I have a lot of skills, and it's not me flexing or bragging. It's just, it was out of necessity of survival. So yeah, I would say I'm a creative. I write songs, can't paint or draw. I'll leave that to those people who are good at that. But yeah, I'm a writer great. Like you. Actually going to be recording a new song soon, and I never thought I'd say that at 47.
For you, you're never too old for that. Let's talk about how you and I met. During the pandemic.
Yep.
So do you want to take this, or do you want me to talk about how we met?
Well, I'll tell you why.
Okay, you go for it.
So I reached out to you because that whole thing of necessity. And I got the coolest thing yesterday, which was your passion is your pitch. And I felt like an alien on this planet for the longest. And so then I just started to fight for myself. And I had a food company, and I knew you have to make a decision to knock and knock and knock till your knuckles are bloody. And the worst thing people can say is no. And when my passion, I pitched to you that I make an all-natural granola. I'm a farm kid from Merlin, Ontario, which is about a couple hours from Windsor, 3 from Detroit. And I just give you my 30-second elevator pitch of why I need your help and how I don't have any money for advertising. And you were one of the good ones that there were a few along the road in that journey, and you were one of the good ones that said, absolutely will help you. And it's overwhelming what you gave me to get what I was doing, which was local food, big deal for the last 15 years, big movement. Farm kid, I've picked everything from stones to tomatoes to apples, you know, and bought my first car with my tomato picking money at 16. And then, you know, it's almost like when I'm talking to you or trying to approach someone in that business I did, it was all natural granola, because I like to cook. And cooking comes also from barely surviving, like make everything from scratch so we can eat. Mm-hmm. And so that's how this decadent granola became. You just heard my story.
And I did. I really did. I remember you at my doorstep telling me about no one giving you the opportunity or the chance. And now you're here all these years later, right? So I'm going to start with the whole genesis of raw and authenticity. What does authenticity mean to you?
Authenticity is being completely, unapologetically present in the moment, being your honest and true self, regardless of the potential judgment of others around you.
I love that answer. It's beautiful. Gave me chills. Okay, so this one's going to be a tough one, just because I do know a little bit about your story, and if you're willing to share it. What would you say was your most raw moment in your life, or your aha moment?
That's a very good question, because I am having such a big spiritual awakening. And I think that you can have that if you want it. And if you just want to kind of go under the radar, you'll do that. But if you want to just really deep dive into life, my answer to you is they're happening all the time if you're willing to be awake.
100%.
So there's no, it's like my illness. There's no A, B, C, D, and then we've cured Stephanie. No, because there's a lot of other things at play.
Mm-hmm. So you've had many moments, is what you're saying, too.
It's when you are so different, odd, I've been called crazy, you know, you have to, I like this word, radically accept how you are in the world. Do your best to be your best to humanity, to society, to your community, but not at a cost of yourself. So that happens. Ahas aren't, oh, I've arrived. No, my belief is you constantly will evolve. That's what personal growth is, you know. It's winter, all the flowers are dead, the trees are naked, but then spring will come and there'll be a new growth. Mm-hmm. We don't have one spring our entire life and that's it, right? We have seasons. It sounds corny, but...
No, not at all. I love that. So when you were first diagnosed, so I'm going to actually backtrack a little bit. When I first started kind of looking into you a little bit and following you on Facebook, I think I've shared this moment with you, not knowing you well and not even knowing about your bipolar at that point. I remember watching and I thought, if I didn't know this woman and I was not open with my heart and accepting and not sitting in judgment, I probably wouldn't have talked to you again. And there was comments on the Facebook Live going, oh my God, are you drunk? Are you this? Are you that? Like, how does that not hurt you? Because I was hurting for you in those moments. So, and I know that you face this on a daily basis. So
TikTok.
Right.
All the time. It's so ever present.
What do you want our viewers and listeners to know about what it's like living as you? It doesn't
matter that I am the mayor's fiance. It does not matter. People, here's what I'm going to say. What you don't understand is what you are afraid of. Therefore, to be able to consume it and make yourself feel comfortable, you'll stand and have an opinion of someone else's life, which is truly none of your business.
So what?
And I think that goes beyond, I feel blessed almost to go this deep with this illness, because people that don't have what I have feel like they're drowning, and they're coming to me and calling me because my number's public as a resource. What do I do? Because I know you're going to shoot straight.
Well, you are a straight shooter, that's for sure.
There's a lot of people with a lot of problems. They just seem to, it's just easier to be uncomfortable with me and then go, oh, she's just weird, can't do that.
So what, do you just keep educating people? Is that how you deal? Like,
How do I deal with it?
Like, I know you're a woman of faith, and
Yeah.
I know that you look to God.
Yes, I do. There's a proverb, and I'll share many. One is, what's in someone's heart comes out of their mouth. Well, guess what? That's got nothing to do with me. That's your crap. So I ain't doing it for you. No one did it for me, so you do it for yourself. So I literally, you know what it is? It's funny. I was driving here, and I was kind of thinking, I was praying, asking for the words, not mine. What do the people need, right? And that, I think, is what the biggest thing is, that you ain't it. You could have been born in 1812. You could have been born in 1917. I joke and say, thank God God knew I would not be scrubbing my clothes in the river. This is not me. And so it's profound to think all the things that had to happen for me to sit right here looking at your face. Think of all the things your parents had to date, my parents had to date, you know, they got married, you know, everything. They moved to where they moved, and you moved where you moved. I mean, some of your relatives from another country, right? Mine moved 1500s to France, to Holland, to Canada. So I guess it's just, how do I deal with it? Because I understand that I'm on a mission right now, and that I'm being equipped for the next thing. And in my faith belief, I'm not gonna sit up there with a harp and sing Kumbaya. I got something to do. And it's pretty big, because it's dang hard for me here. And so my education to everyone is that there's a proverb that says, why do you judge your neighbor with a sty in their eye when you have a log in your own? Wow. And so I have symptoms. Everyone has symptoms. So you can call it Yankee Doodle Dandy syndrome if you want, because when you have bipolar and ADHD and PTSD or schizoaffective or any combo, Alzheimer's with anxiety, there's no name for that. And so I am teaching people to you know what? It's interesting. I bet you also too that the fact that I am so blunt, I'm trying to say raw too much in this conversation. The fact that I am so blunt and I'm fine with it. Finally, it makes other people feel their stuff, and then they're like, no, I can't. No, you're just weird. I don't have problems. You do. You're just weird. Yep, that's it right there. And then they can go on feeling better than me.
So it's going to lead me to the next question for you is, when you were first diagnosed, what went through you? Like, did you understand it? Like
that journey? Yeah. You and I haven't even talked about that
I
one.
I know.
Oh, I'm going to say some stuff you might have to edit.
No, it's raw.
Well, because, so here's the hard part. I'll be succinct as I can. So I'm a social service worker, so I am, trained at Fanshawe to talk about some things. It's funny, I actually resented my mother. I wanted to be a hairdresser, but she forced me to go to social service work at Fanshawe. And now it's all coming back to me. And so when you talk about diagnosis, here's some of the things, and your listeners and viewers can vet it. It takes women 10 years longer to get a diagnosis because we mask it. So we can put makeup on. I used to say I was too pretty to get help. And because there is such from society, so I was actually last night talking about, I do a lot of lives, as you know, and I have this crazy Facebook following that's growing from TikTok. It's interesting, they want to find out. And it's a very more local feel. They really want to know. And like, so we mask it, and from my community, my society, I was saying last night on the live was my point, is that if you have a child that's a tween, 11-year-old, they drive you crazy. They can't sit still. They talk and talk and talk. They get rosy cheeks and bounce off the walls if they have too much sugar. They can't leave you alone. They disrupt the class, you know. Then I said, here's what's dangerous between 11 and 14 and this is stuff, I vet this stuff with like my psychiatrist and the Canadian Mental Health Association and my local here, and they're like, I'm not trying to like flex, but they're like, no, you're ahead of your time. What I want to say better than that is I'm saying what most people don't want to say out loud. I'm saying it. My inside voice on this subject is coming out, and it needs to be said because it's giving parents language. It's taking the fear out. My kid isn't nuts. That if your daughter is crying for 2 weeks straight, it's not just hormones at 14. It's not just her period. I mean, go with your gut. And this is how you fight for your kid. And so what's dangerous between 11 and 14, I felt like from my school and from my just environment and people I encountered that I knew I wasn't normal.
So did it almost make it better when you were diagnosed with something? Because mental illness is something that you can't see, like a physical illness you can see, but when it comes to mental illness, it's not like you walk around going, I'm bipolar, I'm on the spectrum.
I have a t-shirt. So what I wanted to really point out for parents is that if you're not careful and you know you have a child that is unique, you can convince them they're dumb. And they will feel like they have to suppress their person. And there's a difference between a personality and a symptom. And so all I want to really quickly drop about kids is that I was advocating last night is I forced a Stephanie down, way down, and we're very lovable children because we want to overcompensate for how we make people just agitated and annoyed because we have a lot of energy, a lot of thoughts, a lot of, I overcompensated in school so much that I had some testing done. And so in grade 11, I was told that I had I over-researched. I was always trying to be good enough. And so I had the vocabulary in grade 11 of a PhD. And then I can remember coming to this, I think back and things I don't even remember. And everyone else knew I was different too. Like the girls would grab me in grade 8 and throw me down and rub me raw with dandelions. Like it's just constant. And my mom would have get-togethers so that the girls would like me. And then the next day they would go back to bullying me. And so if you have a child that is special, then I really, really want you to reach out as soon as you can. The funny story, I prepared one of my children And I homeschooled him so that I could know him because I knew he was me. And this was the experience. I eventually couldn't homeschool him because I didn't have it in me, but I did it for pre-kindergarten. And I knew the day would come, and I got the call. And the teacher sat down, and this is what I said to her. You're telling me that my son is disruptive in the class. Okay, Mrs. Smith, let's do this, I said. Your Christmas sweater's jingling's driving me crazy. Your earrings are very bright and loud, and they also have bells in them. There's a conversation in the hallway. I can hear what they're both saying while we're talking. The lights are buzzing, and there's a truck just going by right now. It's like a heavy lift truck. It's not a regular truck or a semi. I know by the sound of it. And yeah, so welcome to our world. You want to help my son? Because I'm going to tell you how. Because I know him. And so I'm teaching adults, here it comes full circle, emotional regulation. Mm-hmm. We can't lose people at any birthday party tables in our families, at any Christmases, at anything. We can't. We have to get the stigma out of the way, which is really get over yourself, mm-hmm. and really care about other human beings.
So can I bring it back just to get your answer on how did you feel when you got the diagnosis?
So that was an interesting experience because a small level of me started to go, maybe I'm just so smart I don't fit. And so then I get a referral, by the way, self-referral, begging in emergency rooms, sending me home, time after time. And this is what makes me angry. When people say, those people, I'm one of those people. And so to answer you with clarity, it dragged on, because I had to drive the bus. I had to say that I don't have friends. People don't know how to talk to me. I don't know how to calm down. I don't know how to not interrupt people. Like, these are things I can say now, but I didn't have language for those behaviors because people taught me that Stephanie's just an annoying pain in the arse who is just unbelievably difficult to take in. And there's the old saying right now, I'm too much, find less.
I love that.
Right?
So true.
So my diagnosis, I actually didn't really have one until a few years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like, it is so you want raw girl, I've never said this publicly. Being a female, and being like faking it, even if, I know some of you, I know you don't all wash your hair like me every 2 weeks. Like, I know. Like, baby wipes were invented not just for babies, okay? And so, like, I could really fake being okay. And for some reason, I felt like I had to present myself as some professional, weirdest thinking. But it was an automatic action. Mm-hmm. And so when I had one doctor diagnose me with multiple personality disorder, after the second visit, I went, hard no. And she made me do this weird thing. So if you're uncomfortable with a treatment that you're having in any way, shape, or form, speak up. Don't be accommodating. We tolerate we accommodate who we tolerate. And so that's another thing I got this year. And so it's hard to answer you because I had to keep.
You had to keep going, so you
I'm
never
like,
really.
no, I don't let. Okay, I can use the word, but I don't mean it. I mean it in a funny way. Be like, you're crazier than me, so I'm out. And then they all call. You know, it goes back to. Sorry, it goes back to the. Stephanie is just difficult. She doesn't want to, get help.
And
so until she realizes it. And then I had another counselor, and he said something under his breath. And I said, pardon? And he goes, with a body like that. And so you can see how I've had other trauma, and that was then someone who was supposed to help me, guide me to, this is why it's such a long answer, and I'm sorry, but it wasn't me. And then I ended up, and I have to be careful. These people are local. Like, they know who I'm talking about. you know. I'm better now because I walked out, And so, I went, okay, bye for good. And I want to say there's this thing in women who have, mental health issues, like severe. Like, this is a brain disorder that operates in the frontal lobe of my brain that I had to teach myself, So I could go and, tell, I try so hard to be succinct, but it's not a succinct thing. And so the next doctor, not gonna out you, but it was inappropriate. And when I went to school, there's some words that come back from all my studying. I graduated at 19, which is really young for social work. That's why no one would hire me. Like, what's this kid know? A lot more than they thought.
She's living it.
Yeah, but it's called transference. And it's when you cross the professional line between you and the patient or your client. And I have a male psychiatrist, and I'm not a man hater. Right. But I have a psychiatrist, but I'll tell you, I postured. I have men that are 7 feet tall that find me intimidating, and they damn well better, because I'm not going to let them cross me for a second. So eventually, this one doctor who didn't cross the line, didn't say it, but it was there enough that they found me attractive. And they didn't cross an ultimate line, but it still was, oh my gosh, like I can't put my trust in this person because
just so disheartening, right?
He thinks of me outside of this office as someone to hang with.
So from everything I've heard from you, you have literally had to be your own advocate throughout this whole
100%.
Thing, right? And now you've finally
41,
gotten some help.
I'm 47, you do the math. And it really, really didn't happen until 44, because when I finally, and this is the stuff I'm teaching, and this is what's causing a lot of ruckus, because, I'm some professionals, I'll be nice, have egos, and they're like, what gives you the right to say that? And I'm just like, well, if my medications I'm on are not helping me, then I'm still sick. Exactly. So I teach people to go through them one at a time. So to answer you with clarity, it's like, I found myself in 2015 in the hospital, and I would even hear professionals talking down about us on the floor. And when I spoke up and said to the team around me, I heard this, and that is disgusting. And I was like, it was like, it's okay, Stephanie. Shh. We got it. You know? And I walked out. And so there's a story. I was asked to speak at Parkwood. And so in 2010, I was admitted. And that's a whole other kettle of fish for another time. But basically, there is a thing called bipolar PMS. And it is when your estrogen is wacko, and combined with the mood problem, you're just 3 weeks out of the month, just terrible. And you literally, it's like I've had my brain switch like a seizure, and I come out of it, and then I bawl because I download my symptoms made me respond and act. And because how I perceive what's happening to me is just like when I took care of a woman, I'm a healthcare aide too, who had Alzheimer's, and when she forgot the next day who I was, and started to beat the crap out of me because she thought I was trying to break into her house as a stranger, but the day before was serving me tea. You see, so my perception of what has happened to me shapes also my mood disorder. See, the growing brain of a child, you literally can grow a trauma brain, which is what I'm writing about. And so finally, I just said, I made a decision that if I ever ended up in the hospital again, because they gave me a medication, I was going down, blacking out, on my hands and knees, couldn't see a thing, and I yelled, "Help, help!" And they come and stand in front of me, these two nurses. And I don't hate nurses, thank you for all you do, but not everybody's a good one, okay? They stood in front, and I'm blacking out, because I have low blood pressure, and so this med to help with the mood issues, PMS, it also, though, did something to my blood pressure. And this is the first time I had it. They stood in front of me, and they were like, "Get up." And I said, I can't, please. I'm just trying to cry here. please help me, please. I can't, I'm going out. And those are like hard floors, right? And they're like, "Get up." And then they proceeded to take each side of my arms and drag my front body to the blood pressure cuff way the heck down the hallway, sit me up, I still am blacking out, and put me on the cuff, and then start screaming, "Get her orange juice." And I yelled, "I told you." And I swore to God, Sabina, if that ever happened again, I am going to do something. Well, that's the thing. When you don't know till you know, right? And I am preaching to the masses about what are your symptoms. Print a mood chart, write out the journal of your life so that you can go, hey, let's fix this once and for all, you and me. It's going to take a while, but it'll take as long as it takes. So I got back to, I was in the hospital again. I was in a relationship that was very unhealthy, and the person was an addict, and that can actually trigger illness. So I wanted everyone to understand that. If someone's well and all of a sudden someone close to them passes, or they lose a job or whatever, it can make them back to being sick. And so it happened. 2 o'clock in the morning, I go out to the bathroom, and I get, oh gosh, I go down, and I rolled down on my back, and I went, I'm making a decision right now. So here they come. "Stephanie, you need to get up." I said, "You did this to me 10 years ago with this same thing. I know this damn med. I feel it right now. And you're paid to stand here and make sure that I don't go to heaven. So I'm going to lay here, and you're going to watch me until I can get up myself and not crack my head off the floor because you don't want to stand here and sit with me. Deal."
I am actually so sorry for all that you have gone through. And I can't believe it's almost time for us to wrap up. That's how fast that interview just went. So in closing, there's two things. I have a final question, but before that, in closing, if the viewer and the listener are listening right now, what is one thing, or what, if you can wrap it up in one thing, the best advice that you could give someone that is going through what you've gone through and are still going through?
Make a decision that you are who you are completely, and that other people's brokenness is just a different flavor. So I also advise people to, they're welcome to reach out to me, and then I direct them to people that are good caregivers, good professionals, and I've helped many, many people, and that is what's rewarding, and that's what makes all that awful worth it. You can be an eagle or a chicken, and eagles don't fly in flocks. So,
well, thank you for sharing that. Last thing, I need you to close your eyes. Don't open them until I say. Okay, open them and tell me the first thing that you see.
I see a woman that is a game changer and will fight for everyone, including herself, unapologetically.
Beautiful. Thank you for being here, Steph.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much, and thank you, everyone.
Let's get real, sisters.